Are you an empath struggling with being a people pleaser? Well, you have come to the right place. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Tamara, and I'm a life coach dedicated to helping you heal, transform, and rediscover your true self. Do you know what shadow work is? Shadow work is important. It's important, especially in these days and times and the way things are going, in this spiritual warfare that has turned up 50,000 notches. It's important to know what shadow work is and how to do shadow work successfully. So let's talk a little bit about what is shadow work. Shadow work is facing and understanding parts of yourself that you hide or you mask, such as bad habits, insecurities, or patterns, childhood traumas. Shadow work is important because it'll help you heal parts of yourself that is holding you back from stepping into your new career or becoming an entrepreneur or just stepping into your higher self, the best version of yourself. Sometimes we have things that what are within our aura, within our bodies, within our universe that holds us back from actually shedding our old self and moving on to the next chapter in our lives. When I first started doing shadow work, first of all, I never said that shadow work was easy, and I'm not going to say it's hard. It's a journey. When I first discovered my true self and the things that I figured was holding me back and stopping me from shedding my old self so I can move into a new chapter in my life, I discovered that one of the things was I was a people pleaser. And learning that I was a people pleaser, for one, it was shocking because in my mind, my ego always tells me, I don't care what people think. I don't care about people. And when you're a people pleaser, 9 times out of 10, you do care what people think. You do care what people feel and how they view you. So when I learned that I was a people pleaser, it was hard to digest. And the first steps of shadow work is acceptance. And in my acceptance phase, I became very depressed because I had to swallow things about myself that I didn't know about myself. But I was also grateful. I was so grateful to finally know things about myself that could potentially be holding me back from stepping into my true higher best self. So some ways that you can figure out if you're a people pleaser through shadow work is sometimes you can journal. I would suggest that you journal and you can ask yourself questions like, do I fear rejection? Is it hard for me to say no? So some ways that you can figure out if you're a people pleaser, you can journal and you can do chaos journaling where you just ask yourself questions and be brutally honest with yourself. So one of the questions that you can ask yourself, am I afraid to tell people no? Do I set boundaries? Do I do things that I don't like doing? Do I go against my discernment and my intuition? So 9 times out of 10, if you check 3 of those, then you are very much so a people pleaser. And I started this video off by saying, are you an empath struggling with being a people pleaser? A lot of people pleasers are empaths. And I know this because this is not a belief, this is a knowing. I know that most empaths are people pleaser because one simple thing, and it is that we can feel people. And we are afraid of people's reactions. We are afraid of letting people down. We are afraid of making people uneasy. We're afraid of saying no. So the first thing I want to say is being an empath is a superpower. Sometimes it may feel like a curse because for myself, I feel everything. I hear just about everything. I'm not going to say I hear everything, but I hear more than the average person. And I also absorbs everybody's energy. And it's very draining. And it was very draining when I did not know how to protect myself and say no and set boundaries. Being a people pleaser is detrimental for your health, your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional health. When you do not learn how to advocate for yourself and say no, you're constantly going against your discernment, your intuition, that can lead you to many places sick or in harm's way, or just in a place that you're not supposed to be in at the wrong time because you didn't listen to yourself or you didn't set boundaries. Let's talk about some things that cause us to be people pleasers. And the number one thing that I want to say that causes us to be people pleasers is our childhood. Our childhood constantly wanting to, especially if you have religious parents or you have strict parents or parents that are in the military, you constantly feel like you have to show up to them a certain way, the way that feels comfortable for them. Another way is it could be a learned behavior. You can have parents that are people pleasers. In my case, I have a mother who's very much so a people pleaser, and I love her to life, but she don't know how to say no. She don't know how to set boundaries. And I picked that up thinking that it was okay. Thinking that that's just her being a good person. So once you discover if you are a people pleaser, and 9 times out of 10, if you clicked on this video, I know for a fact that you are an empath. So before we go into how that you can heal being a people pleaser, let's talk about some things empaths can do to protect themselves. For one, I don't have my head wrap on. I normally have my hair wrapped up. You can, when you are out in the matrix or out in public, whatever you want to call it, wrap your hair. Your ori, your crown, is where most thoughts, feelings, and emotions penetrate or enter. So it's important to cover and protect your ori, covering up your hair. Also, your hair. If you have locks, braids, whatever you have, don't let people just play in your hair. Don't let anybody just rub on your scalp. Your hair holds energy. These are your antennas to the ethers, and you want to keep your antennas very clear. So when it's time for you to tune in certain stations, hint, hint, spirit, you have clarity. You can hear clearly. You can think clearly. So it is important for empaths to protect themselves. Another way that you can protect yourself as an empath, stop going in environments you know doesn't feel right. If it doesn't feel right to you and you know you don't belong there, immediately leave. And if you disappoint somebody, sorry. If they love you, they're going to stick it out with you. But it's okay to remove yourself, to protect yourself. You never know what energy is lingering that you possibly can pick up on. And for me, I would go places I know I shouldn't be, and I would end up sick. I would end up physically ill. So that's why it's important for me as an empath to constantly protect myself. And the last thing that I want to say is spiritual hygiene. That is the thing. When you are an empath, and if you consider yourself spiritual or whatever, it is important to have clean spiritual hygiene. Also, it's important to know how to cleanse yourself. One of my favorite things to do is to use Florida water on my hands and my feet, or like if I'm really having like my head space is just all over the place. I like to take the whole bottle of Florida water, get in the shower, just dump it in my head, because Florida water it acts as like a disinfect, like a spiritual cleanser. It cleanses your aura, and it also cleanses you physically as well. So Florida water is one thing that I recommend getting. Another thing is I like to take visual showers. Visual showers are life changing. Now, if you know me, I take showers for anything. When I'm sick, when I'm cold, especially when I'm cold. If I'm cold, I'm gonna get in the shower. When I'm sick, when I'm cold, if I'm not feeling well, if I'm happy, if I'm sad, if I'm depressed, I love the water. Water is everything to me. So visual showers goes like this. You're having a bad day, or you picked up on some bad energy, or you went out in the world and the energy is heavy and you can't seem to get it off of you. The first thing that I would do is go get in the shower, and I will visualize all of that energy that's on you washing down the drain. Now, this is a muscle that you will have to strengthen over time, your visual muscle. So you can also prompt yourself. You could talk to yourself in the shower through this process, and you're not crazy, and it's just you there. So who gives a nobody? Nobody. So yeah, that is another thing that I like to do. And one more thing that I like to do is say no. Practice saying no. Just go in the mirror and be like, no, nope, no, nah, I ain't doing that today. Nah, I don't want to go there. Nah, no, nope. Just practice it. That's another muscle that you'll have to strengthen and get comfortable with. Because for empaths, and I know for empaths who are particularly people pleasers, saying no, like, it literally triggers our anxiety. It's like, oh God, like if I say no, what are they going to think? How are they going to feel? They're going to be sad. They're going to be mad at me. They don't love me. They're going to leave me. All of these things that are not true, and possibly they are true. If they ain't your friends or they don't really love you unconditionally, of course they're going to leave, and they should. They should. That is another reason why it's important to practice. That's why it's important to practice the word no, because when you set boundaries and you practice saying no, you will find your tribe and you will figure out who's for you and who's just there for benefits. And the people that really love you unconditionally, they gonna understand when you say no. They gonna understand. They're not gonna take it personal. As a human collective, we take things so personally, and it's like everything's not meant to be taken so personally. Like, come on now. I'm saying no because I don't want to go, but that don't mean I don't love you. That just mean nah, not today, bro. So practice saying no. So let's get into fixing the problem. Fixing the problem, healing the problem. I went on a shrooms trip. I took 7 grams, probably like August. I've been in Mexico for 6 months. When I came back, I took a shrooms trip. I took 7 grams, and on my shrooms trip was so crazy. That was the first shrooms trip I ever took where I was passing out. Like I kept literally passing out, losing consciousness. And when I kept like losing consciousness, at one point I got in bed. Like I just got in bed because I was just I don't know. I got in bed and I'm in the bed, I'm in my head. I feel like I'm kind of like astral projecting because I astral projected a lot. I feel like I'm kind of like astral projecting. And I kept hearing this voice say, everything's gonna be okay. We're just working out the kinks. We're just working out the kinks. And that stuck with me. And like I feel like that is very prevalent in my life right now because I'm supposed to still be in Mexico, but because of some legal situations with my children, I'm back in the United States for a little while. And I just felt like my dreams were put on hold and I was set back and during my trip, I felt spirit like really telling me like everything's gonna be okay. We just gotta work through these kinks. We gotta get through this, and you're gonna have what you desire, what you need, and what you want. Why? Because you deserve it. If you deserve it, it's yours. Spirit, the universe, God, source is always gonna look out for you. You're always gonna be accounted for and taken care of. So no worries. And another thing I learned when I was in Mexico, like living in Mexico, changed my life. It changed my perspective. It changed me. It changed my children as well. Me and my children became closer. But in Mexico, people used to tell me all the time, no worries. Like, stop worrying. Me, I'm a Virgo and I'm a mom of twins and I'm a single mom as well. And I worry a lot. I worry about if I got enough money, if I'm a good mother, if my kids are okay, am I like I worry. I constantly worry. Especially because I have big dreams. And I want to attain them now. Like I'm tired of waiting. So I worry, like, am I one foot am I one step closer to my dreams? And so I'm a worry bug. And like people used to tell me in Mexico, don't worry. No worries. No worries. And like my children, when they see me stressed, they say that to me, Mom. They like, Mom, take a deep breath. No worries. So it's like, no worries. You don't have to worry. But let me not go off on a tangent because that's typically what I like to do. So let's get into fixing the problem, healing the problem. First, just like I said, when you're an empath and how to protect yourself as an empath, the first thing you want to do is set boundaries. Set boundaries. The second thing you want to do is say no. The third thing that I feel is very challenging is challenge the fear of disapproval. Basically, be okay with being rejected or being okay with people being upset with you if you say no, or being okay with just overall disapproval. Learn to be okay with it. Learn how to shake that shit off because you don't have to take everything so personal. Sometimes people get mad. Sometimes women be on their period. Sometimes men just be angry. Like, it doesn't always have to be personal. You don't have to take it personal. In life, you will be rejected. Not everything is for you. You got to understand that rejection is protection. Okay? So if you're rejected, it's protection. Same way as this is disapproval. If somebody don't approve of you, it's for your protection, baby. How about you ain't for them? They ain't for you. Okay? All right. You got this. It's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. I know you might have a little bit of anxiety because you want to constantly be approved by people. Or you want to make people feel good. Or you want to please and appease people. I'm sorry, baby. It ain't helping you on your journey. It's no longer serving you, and we're elevating as a consciousness. It's time for you to move forward. So the last thing I want to say, well, two things. Build self-worth. Be okay with self. Know thyself. Be okay with sleeping alone. Being okay with not having people on your line all the time. Be okay with knowing your worth and knowing who you are. When you know who you are and you're confident in who you are, you will not allow people to use you as a doormat. You will not allow people to walk all over you. You will not allow people to trick you out your spot. Okay? And the last thing that I want to say is seek support. In the Black community, it was weird for me growing up to say, oh, I got mental health, or I need help from a professional. I need therapy. Okay? So if you're struggling with being a people pleaser, 9 times out of 10, that has came from your childhood. And if it didn't come from your childhood, it came from being relationships with your parents, your friends, your family, and you are afraid of rejection. You are afraid of saying no. You are overall afraid. You're letting fear run your life. And it's time to take your power back. So if you need help, seek help. Especially from someone like me who has been through it. I have been through it, you know. This is why I'm a life coach. This is why I do what I do, because I love people. I love seeing people transform. I love watching my clients transform and become better versions of themselves and healing their childhood trauma and healing their shadow and integrating with their shadow. So, okay. So we learned how to discover if we are a people pleaser and or an empath. We learned how to fix the problem. Let's get into some book recommendations because, you know, if you're not reading books in 2024 or going into 2025, what are you doing? What are you doing with yourself? Like, so I got this book in Mexico, and I love this book. And I'm sure that they have it here in Barnes and Nobles or Amazon. This book is called Sensitive is the New Strong: The Power of Empaths in an Increasingly Harsh World by Anita Morgany. I think that's her name. If I said your name wrong, Miss Author Lady, I'm sorry. And I love the work that you do. You have truly inspired me to become a better person, and to say no. Yes. So this book is, I'm gonna tell you a little bit about this book. This book is about an empath that is obviously in this world, which can come sometimes feel really harsh. And she had a religious background, whereas though her parents would set her up for an arranged marriage, and she always felt different. She didn't want to do it. And because she didn't use her voice, her throat chakra, she didn't express herself, she didn't say no, she didn't set boundaries. She ended up getting cancer. And I'm gonna go into depth in another video about why it is also important to not be a people pleaser and to take care of your spiritual hygiene and take care of your ori and take care of yourself. Because when you don't take care of yourself, it can lead to physical illness, dis-ease in the body. Go ahead and click that bell so you can get notified whenever I post. My name is Tamara. I am your favorite life coach, and welcome to my YouTube channel.